Hey, Pre-Cal 12, I apologize for the video being knocked out. This is part two. I intend this to be very quick because I know the last one was a little bit longer. This is just going into how do I solve a three-system equation using a matrice. And so I just want to quickly go over that just briefly with you. As we get started, here's an example of a systems of three equations. Notice that when we attack this, that there are three equations and three variables. Now, remember we talked about this matrices idea where it's a row by column, okay? So when we do a row by column, we're actually going to write this matrices in rows across and then columns going down. So the way it works is we always start with the x, y, z, and then solution. So I always put my solution kind of at the end. So this would be just the coefficients. So 1, 1, 1, and 6. Okay, so that's the first equation. The second equation would be 1, 4, -1, and 2. Notice, like, if I didn't have this z here, like if this was gone, I could then say 0. I want to make sure I fill in with that 0. Okay, this is not, so we're okay. So the next one is 3, -2, 2, and 3. Now, in college and even beyond, you're going to need to be able to do this by hand. We're actually simplify one of these matrices by hand. But right now we're okay by simply just writing this out and then coming up with what do we call the order? What is the row by column? Well, the rows that we have is 3, right? So 1, 2, 3. The amount of columns we have is 1, 2, 3, 4. And really that's all I need in terms of how I put that on the row by column and that sort of thing. So how do we, Coach, how do we solve this? I want you to get out your calculator real quick. And what I wanted you to kind of do is just quickly. Come here. And what we're going to do, you see this matrix thing right here? Press second x to the negative first and just look at that real quick. Real quick, these are the names of the matrices. We'll go to the math button in a second. We'll go to edit. So on edit, I want you to press edit here. And this is, again, a 3 by 4. And I want you to press enter. And just like we plugged in earlier, you're going to do that same thing. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your, kind of get this out here. Get my calculator out here and go on this side. So 1 enter, 1 enter, 1 enter, 6 enter. This is the exact one we just did. Sorry, 1, 4. It's -1. Make sure you use -1 and not -1. It's a big mistake. People do that sometimes. 2 goes 3, -2. Sorry, coming there, -2. And then finally, 2 and 3, okay? All right, so once we've got the matrices in here from our systems of equations, we're gonna go to second mode, which quits this. And what I can do now is create this matrices and simplify the matrices by calculator by going to second matrix. We just put A in, notice the 3 by 4. And then you're going to live in this world of math near the matrix where when you scroll down, you'll go to RREF, which means row reduced echelon form. I'll put that in a second. And then I want you to put second matrix, put the A in there, and then press enter one more time. Watch this. Okay, well, now once we do this, I'll kind of take a little bit of a screenshot here and pull this over. You can always rewind this back if need be. But I want you to be able to see just a little piece of this and what's occurring. Let's see here. There you are. So there's my screenshot of what just came up. Now, real quick, RREF takes this matrices and it simplifies it. Okay. So you say, Coach, how do I do this? Remember, we're going to second x to the negative first, which is really our matrix category, right? So what are the steps? We first edit with row by column. Then you go to the math button go to row reduced echelon form. Okay, so again, that's called row reduced echelon form, which is the form you see up above. And then the third thing we do is we go to, because then it has this, we want to make sure we put A or whatever matrix is what we found in here, and then just go to just whatever the original one was. What was that? Again, it was, make sure second matrix, it's the names. That's what we're looking at. Okay, so then you're going to go to names, press enter at A, or I usually put all mine on A, but you put yours where you want. And this is what you get here. You say, Coach, what did we just find? Well, what's cool about this, ready for this? This right here represents the X category, the Y category, and the Z category. So this means that 1x plus 0y plus 0z equals -1. 0x plus 1y plus 0z equals 2. Same category. 0x plus 0y plus 1z equals 5. You say, Coach, what did we just find? We just found that x equals -1, y equals 2, and z, in fact, equals 5. And that's how we solve for this using our very own calculator. Okay? All right, and this kind of gives it to you how we attack it and what we're trying to look for here as we're going through. And it's a good way to be able to help simplify some of these problems that are there. Let's take a look at number 3, just because that's an important one. Again, just so you're aware, if I was to do number 2, use the same method. The only difference is this would be 1, 1, 1, 1, 4, 3, -2, 2, 1, 7, 2, 1, 1. So this allows us to really have a lot of systems of equations that we would be able to solve for. Remember, these are the solutions. If you don't have one, make sure you fill it in with a 0. And then what we can do is say that this is a 4 by 5. And then we put it in there, REF, put in for A, and then it will simplify what X, Y, Z, and W is. Now on this one, a little different, our last one for this podcast, we have X, Y, and Z, which is 1, 1, 1, and then our solution, which is 0. For the second one, we have 2, 3, 1, solution of 0. So this is a 2 by 1, 2, 3, 4. So just like we did before, we have a different set of systems of equations that's just a little different. Kind of get this up and running so you can kind of see this here. And so what we've got here is we're going to go to second, x to the negative first, go to edit. This is a 2 by 4. The ones we just found on the previous one, just so you have a heads up here, has, make sure, 1, 1, 1, 0. 1. We got it here. 1, 1, 0. And then the other values are 2, 3, 1, and then 0. Okay, so we've got this here. We'll go to second quit once we put that in. Second, x to the negative first, go to math. So we kind of start with edit, and then just slowly move to the right, to the left. Second, x to the negative first, put A in, and here we are. So we get 1, 0, 2, 0, and 0, 1, -1, 0. Now here we go. We'll put it here, put this here. So this is RREF. Make sure, is it 1, 1? Forgetting what we got. 1, 0, 2, 0. So 1, 0, 2, 0. And then 1, I think it's 0, 1, my fault. 0, 1, -1, 0. So 0, 1, -1, and 0. So as we look at this, notice these are the x's, y's, z's. This should be a z. And then these are the solutions, right? So what we look at here is this equation is x plus no y, 2z equals 0. And this one would be y minus z equals 0 as well. So because there's only 2 equations with 3 variables, just like we did before, we've got to write all of these in terms of the same variable. So this top one would be x is equal to negative 2z. This bottom one is y equals z. And then finally, since they're in terms of z, we could just say that z equals z, since all of them are in the same thing. But we get x by itself, y by itself. Usually that third variable is the one that's in terms of. I hope that was helpful for you. We're going to look more at those later on as we look at more podcasts and more problems as we prepare for the test. Hope that was helpful for you. Have a phenomenal day. We'll see y'all. Bye.